The trailer for Despicable Me 4 is out now, and I think it's a bit of an interesting case study to see a very well-established animation studio like this simultaneously doing just the exact same thing you would expect it to do. Once again, this is the 4th installment, if not the 7th. But also, I think the public opinion of this studio has raised a lot in recent years. Had this trailer come out 3 years ago, and I'm sure I would have found everything I could possibly find to criticize this movie and make fun of every little moment. And to be fair, there's still room for plenty of that. The internet certainly has gone wild with the idea that sex is a canonical thing that Gru as an adult has done. And on a visual front, it's very clear that this baby is just a cocomelon baby. But at the same time, whilst Despicable Me 1 was very good, and Despicable Me 2 and 3 have been quite, lower in quality, and then Minions movie was the pit of it all, Minions 2 actually wasn't that bad of a movie. With the ensemble cast of Minions as a character being a very annoying, lower quality version of the Raving Rabbids, but in more recent years being actually a very nice, entertaining demonstration of good physical comedy. It kind of seems to be a case-by-case situation, but after seeing that Illumination is slowly getting better at their craft demonstrably, and the Mario movie 2 showing that the studio can make good stuff as well as make too much profit, I think I and a lot of other people are looking at this Despicable Me 4 project with a lot more optimism than we usually would. And from what we can see from this trailer, it kind of just looks like more of the same, but maybe that's a good thing, you know? When there's that moment of a minion whacking another minion with a little swimming noodle, it's just fast enough to scratch that sort of stupid physical comedy itch. Whilst at the same time, the sort of classic joke of a baby that doesn't like its father, so grimaces instead of smiles, is somewhat standard, but I haven't actually seen it that much. So maybe it's refreshing, especially in the animation field. I don't hate it. Of course, the visuals look nice, they're very clean in their Illumination ways, and the mechas that they introduce to each of these movies, man, there really is an actual... I think about it, this is a proper mecha genre film franchise, but you know, they look great. The minions interacting with several different jokes out of just a vending machine, I guess will be a whole arc that goes on in the background of a single minion stuck for some side comic relief. Yeah, I'm quite into it. Whilst at the same time, this is a Despicable Me movie. It's a little bit of a different vibe to the Minions movie. It's a bit of a weird split branding that Illumination are juggling here, but yeah, Gru's old again. And to be honest, I'm actually not that caught up on the Despicable Me lore and franchise. I'm sorry, I'm a fake Minions fan now, apparently. What I find is always a very easy formula to make a terrible movie is over-bloating your cast with a massive ensemble group, and Despicable Me is very much falling into that category. Not only do you have an adult Gru who has a tiny grumpy mother and a sidekick super scientist and the massive cast of minions, and then 3 adopted daughters, but now he has also a wife, a new baby child, as well as a neighbor teenage girl who inspires to be like him as a supervillain. Add on the other extensions that Despicable Me has generally added, like a twin brother, all sorts of villain rivalries, and another one that's targeting this family, making them go to a safe house, and like... I'm sure it'll be fine. Illumination have gotten better, but there's a lot of beats here, you know? I think there's going to be so much emphasis on this cocomelon baby that we're not going to see anything about the 3 Goyles, you know? But really, we're not here to learn about the Goyles. We're not here to really focus too much on the wife character. It's going to be all about the minions and a lot on that baby. Really, all I'm looking forward to is physical comedy, you know? That's what this animation franchise seems to specialize in. If Madagascar movies aren't being made anymore, Minions are going to have to cover the void. Now, this news of this movie existing isn't a surprise. They've been talking about this since yonks ago. The Minion machine is always moving. And hopefully this time it will just be a decent original story, as much as it's very much going to cover all the same tropes you can expect. The baby basically just seems like Jack from The Incredibles. It's even fighting a badger instead of a raccoon. But yes, with this movie being known for a long time, there's been all sorts of news associated with this movie, including, of course, the stellar voice acting cast of actual actors. Obviously, you've got Steve Carell as apparently Felonious Gru now. Is that his title? Turns out Felonious is his first name. Alright then. The kind of irreplaceable and probably very glad he got that casting role himself. You've got all sorts of returning characters like Kirsten Wiig as Lucy Wilde, you know, the wife. Also given the title of Anti-Villain League agent and the girl's adopted mother. Everyone's got so many network connections, man. And of course, Pierre Coffin is coming back as the Minions. All of them. 2 of the adopted Gorals are making their reappearance in voice actor form. I didn't realize it was Miranda Cosgrove, but that's that, as Margot, the oldest one. And Dana Gaia as Edith, the middle child. However, the youngest one, Nev Scarell, has been replaced in the 3rd movie by Madison Poland. I don't know if that's because they've aged or because they've upset the Minion Overlord, but fair enough. And another one on the reappearing cast is Steve Coogan as Silas Ramsbottom, the former director of the Anti-Villain League, who resigned in Despicable Me 3. As for the new cast, we have apparently Will Ferrell as Maxime Lamal, a supervillain who's going against Gru and his family this time and makes them go into hiding. Joey King is playing Poppy, who, as we said earlier, is the teenage supervillain neighbor to Gru in his new place. That is my phone. You have Sofia Vergara as Valentina, Will Ferrell's girlfriend in this movie. And then 3 other names that have been announced but not assigned are Stephen Colbert, Chloe Feynman, and Chris Reynolds. I don't know how much people really dig into the production details of a Minion movie, but in case you wanted to know, there it is. I learned something about Miranda Cosgrove. Now, this movie is getting its trailer now as it releases on July 3rd, 2024. Or apparently out on the 12th in the UK. I love that for me. But apparently the development for this movie started 7 years backwards in September of 2017, but was only officially confirmed February of 2022. 2 years sounds a bit more standard, especially for Illumination. With the front-runner crew members being Chris Reynolds as director, Patrick Delage as co-director, and Mike White as writer. Again, this is why Chris Reynolds was mentioned earlier, he's also the director. Steve Carell was apparently voicing his lines back in June of 2022, and just last month we had a handful of those voice actor announcements. And then on the side, the crew was inflated a bit more, with Brett Hoffman coming in as co-producer, known before as the executive producer to the Super Mario Bros. Movie, and Ken Dario coming in as a co-writer who wrote a bunch of the old Despicable Me movies. What I didn't realize about this trailer though actually is it was actually timed for the NFL playoffs in America. I mean, it makes logical sense, it's like a mini Super Bowl advert I guess in that regard. I need to pay more attention to these things, as I'm now only just learning how to keep up with every trailer ever. I'm learning as I go. Next time, I guess I'll have to watch the NFL, just so I can see your commercials at the right time. I will keep that in. Is there a Super Bowl this year? Yeah, there's one every year. The 11th of February, huh? Alright, I'll have to very much keep my eyes on some trailer then as well. It's a good prediction. What do you think that will be? Do I need to make a Super Bowl video? I absolutely could with all the commercials they do. You know what? That's a future thing. We'll get there when we get there. Supposed to be talking about Minion Movie here. Supposedly as well, once this movie does release, it'll be coming out on Peacock for the first 4 months and then going to Netflix. I mean, I guess that's some business somewhere. Does anyone really care? Does anyone have Paramount Plus? Now, whether this movie will do well is probably pretty undebatable. Unless their classic child demographic has grown up to the point that they won't come back to this franchise, I think this is going to do incredibly well when it comes to profits. To give you an understanding with their history with the box office, Despicable Me 1 made $544 million. You know, that's alright. Despicable Me 2 then made $975 million. Despicable Me 3 made $1 billion and $32 million on top of that. And then the Minions movie made $1 billion and $157 million on top. And Minions 2 made just $940 million. So somewhat a progression upwards, although Minions 2 apparently had a bit of a blip. That did come out right after COVID. I don't know if that's really a reason to block it, but it did delay it for a year, so maybe there's something there. Hey, you made it halfway through this video. Thank you very much. If you'd like to see more movie news and trailer coverage, then come along and subscribe. Or in the meantime, on this brief break in the middle, let me know how you feel about this movie. Do you think it's gonna go great like Minions 2, or do you think it's gonna go terrible like Despicable Me 2 and 3? In my mind, it can go either way. I can poke holes at it and praise some of its heights, but I'd love to hear your thoughts, since every trailer does have comments deleted after all. Check out our Discord server, link down in the description if you have future video suggestions for me. After all, I found out about this trailer by being pinged over there, so it's the best place to go. Anyway, let's get back to talking about Despicable Me 4. Still, yes, with the exception of the Mario movie, every movie in their top 5 arsenal is a Minions movie of some sort. And this could very easily hit another billion, as much as Minions 2 didn't make it. It's certainly got the IP attached to it. It's got the namesake. I don't really know what else they need to advertise this movie. Really, they've got all the pieces going. They just need to release it and get it out there and known, which this trailer is very much doing. I mean, the fact that the internet has taken on memes about Gru's sex life means it's gonna be in the zeitgeist of attention, you know? Oh, what? And on the side, I've just heard that Megamind is gonna return in his own sequel series? In a quest to become a social media influencer? What? That's not Illumination work, but okay. I'll keep that in mind as well. There is so much movie news in the last 2 months. Why did I go on holiday for 10 days? On a complete another front, have you seen the poster for this movie? Because I think it could very well be a contender for one of the worst things I've ever seen. This is fake, right? This looks like beyond broken and weird. I'm certain it is, because this is... Did some journalist put this together? I know we already hate floating head syndrome when it comes to posters, but this could be the new absolute worst format I've ever seen. I can't even explain it. It's like the baby's head is bigger than Gru's. The wife's head seems to be like photoshopped on. And like, why are the minions floating? What is the blurry shadow underneath? This is wrong. This has got to be fake. Why is this on the IMDb page and being shown in journalist articles? That can't be right. The world is being trolled. There's this one as well, but it could very well just be from Despicable Me 1. The children do never age for some reason. What kind of fountain of youth are these girls drinking from? There's also this one I found that could also be fake because, like, the color palette's horrendous. You've got at least the actual castle house they move into, so I guess it's probably more likely to be legitimate, but, like, look at the skin tones. They practically match with the minion at this point. Not to mention, it's not that greatly done because I couldn't even realize those were two different guns down there. It looks like one big super one. That's not good marketing, surely? The marketing already seems like a little bit of a blip as far as I see things, and to be honest, it could really go either way the more I look at this, because yeah, the cast is getting overblown, and like, what is a baby going to add to the story? It's gonna be the classic trope of, oh, baby's gonna be in trouble, oh, he's fine, he's basically Jack, but also, what are the kind of jokes you can make around a baby, huh? Especially when it's Illumination at the helm. It's gonna be all fart jokes, there's gonna be poop everywhere, it's gonna be vomiting and like, absolute super childish humor, potentially. Considering the Goyles were supposedly sidelined pretty harshly in the second and third movie, which, I mean, makes sense, there's already too much of a cast here going on. This seems like the baby is just going to replace any screen time they could possibly have, which in a way that justifies why the latter Despicable movies are disliked compared to the original. The Minion movies at least focus on the fun parts of this franchise. We're here for the Minions. I don't think we care that much about Gru and his family situations, you know? Maybe the Minion antics from the perspective of a child would be great, but that's demonstrably not what we've got here. I also low-key kind of thought that Vector was going to make a reappearance in this movie, considering they just had this short about him getting off of the moon, or about to release it, so it kind of would have made sense that that lines up, but I don't know, just another villain to add to the mix. More cast, more characters. It's kind of fun in its own way to have a Freak of the Week, just the week is 2 to 3 years apart. But look, really, this movie seems to be going in either direction. I think the Illumination studio has been on the rise in recent years, knowing how to do Minions quality good, handling the Mario IP pretty well, and apparently Migration's also on the rise when it comes to public opinion and box office. So I come into this movie with high expectations that maybe it could just keep on the trend of giving us good physical comedy content. But at the same time, the more you look at this, the more you can find little holes to poke at. It always does seem to be that it's the Despicable Me franchise that falls flat most of the time with the tropes that Illumination falls into, so I guess we'll just have to see if they've learnt their lesson and crafted their talent over the years. At the very least, I'll certainly be watching it, just a little later than Independence Day in America when this is aimed for. And just the very act of watching it will of course make them boatloads of money. We'll just have to see how much Illumination truly care by the time we reach the credits. For now though, I'm gonna end it off there. My name's been Daz. You didn't really care. What was your opinion on this? Do you think it's gonna go high or low? Is this a 50-50 kind of movie to you? Do you think it's guaranteed to be crap, or do you actually kind of like what you're seeing? I'm interested to get the court of public opinion because most of the trailers available on YouTube are set as made for kids, so there's no comment section to see it all. And on that note, I will see you in a little bit.